representative and reactive action plans for minimizing the chance of risk or damage from risk. It's a little more comprehensive risk mitigation definition. The risk mitigation procedure in the procurement and supply chain environment comprises utilizing suitable methods to secure supply. Risk control, in other terms, for risk minimization, regular risk maintenance, for example, to reduce the chance of problems. This proactive approach to risk mitigation or control is costly in terms of both money and resources. The cost of reacting to risk, on the other hand, can be significantly higher. We provide insight for procurement and supply chain professionals in our Risk and Tech Risk Report 2021 on how to plan for future risk changes and thereby limit the effect. A risk mitigation plan consists of the risk mitigation tasks aimed at avoiding the risk, accepting risk to pursue opportunity, removing the risk resource, changing the likelihood of or consequence of risk, sharing the risk with third parties, or retaining the risk. The importance of risk mitigation. Ignoring risk factor isn't a good strategy and it will make the problem go away. And estimating the impact of risk without taking action is efficient. This is why risk management is crucial. You can avoid certain risk events entirely or decrease the severity of their aftermath if you have a specific strategy with sensible and structured activities. Risk mitigation is only one component of a successful supply chain risk management strategy. This includes monitoring, identifying, assessing, and mitigating risk.
Now I'll be presenting about steps that ABC company takes to mitigate the risk. The company starts the mitigation plan process by identifying the risks such as hazard risk, operational risk, financial risk, and strategic risk. ABC company started this process by making a note the circumstances that might harm the firm. Not only that, ABC company also attempts interview or group brainstorming by requesting the identification of hazards from departmental heads, as well as to ensure the strategy to be as true as possible. For instance, ABC company identified the potential risks such as economic risk by keeping an eye on development and past economic patterns. After ABC company has done the risk identification, the next process is the time to evaluate the possibility of the event occurring and the degree of effect of prospective or present hazards. The process of determining how probable a risk will occur in a project is called risk analysis. Risk may be analyzed in two ways, quantitatively and qualitatively. Analysis of qualitative risk is done using information from previous work and experience which evaluate the effect and probability value for all the risks that have been listed, while analysis of quantitative risk is using the statistic to examine how those risks will affect the project as a whole. There are several evaluation types that may be used such as risk register, risk matrix, bow-tie analysis, and SWIFT analysis. Majority of business such as ABC company prefer to use a matrix instead of SWIFT analysis because it gives clearer information, as SWIFT analysis is based on what if scenarios as possible to identify all the possible danger. For matrix analysis, it requires the companies to enter each risk in the relevant box and display both the possibility of its happening and the degree of harm it will do to the business. The ideal way to do this task is in cooperation with the departmental heads.
After the risks have been identified, the probability and severity of their occurrence should be measured and ranked from most critical to least critical. Risk prioritization is the process of identifying all the risks to a project and then deciding which one will likely to happen and has the most potential harm to the business and its production. As can be seen in the risk matrix on the slide, climate risk has been categorized as high frequency and high severity, which is when the risk occurs, it will adversely affect ABC company in achieving the desired result and one of its project objectives may not be achieved. This is due to its complete dependence on its farm to carry out production and produce the demanded products. Unpredictable weather changes will damage the quantity and the quality of crops that can be produced in it, causing the challenge of lack of supply to occur. By this, investors argue that the company that experience extreme weather such as extreme heat and non-stop raining are not prepared to handle the supply issues and ingredient shortage due to the extreme climate change, causing many investors to withdraw from investments. For competition risk, it has been classified as low frequency and low severity because ABC Company is a well-known global company and has many franchises around the world. ABC Company also has a very stable financial resources and also a large target market. Therefore, companies that manufacture products similar to ABC Company will not be considered as competitors because the high position of ABC Company does not affect the business activities and profits. After identifying the risks that need to be taken into account, appropriate and specific planning to address each type of risk needs to be implemented so that the risk experienced by the company can overcome or mitigate the impact so it will no longer be a threat to the company. By looking for solutions in previous projects and past risk logs that list the risk accounted while running the project, ABC Company effectively utilizes the resources at its disposal without jeopardizing ongoing projects. The regenerative farming techniques has been used, and due to their ability to draw carbon dioxide gas and store it in the soil, regenerative farming technique not only benefit farmers but also assist ABC Company in battling the crisis of extreme hot climate change. By doing so, farmers' adaptability and the quality of their products can be guaranteed.
Lastly, ABC Company will continue to monitor both the efficiency of the plan and the occurrence of risk events. The risk monitoring process includes checking on the status of hazards, evaluating how well mitigation methods are working, and interacting with important stakeholders. Addressing how risk will be monitored is the goal of risk monitoring. This involves confirming that the company has implemented the risk response mechanism, assessing their continuing efficiency, and identifying any changes that might have an influence on the risk posture. In order to manage risk, ABC Company asks the following question. First, how may risk occurrence be identified and escalated by the team? And second, has anything changed that will prevent them breeding a danger that was previously considered to be a high threat or opposite? Through the risk management process, risk should be monitored. That's all from me. Thank you.
Types of risk mitigation strategies. First, risk acceptance. Risk acceptance comes down to risking it. It's coming to terms that the risk exists and there is nothing ABC Company will do to mitigate or change it. Instead, ABC Company needs to understand the probability of it happening and accepting the consequences that may occur. This is the best strategy when risk is small or unlikely to happen. It makes sense to adopt risk when the cost of mitigating or avoiding it will be higher than merely accepting it and leaving it to chance. Second, risk avoidance. If a risk of ABC Company comes from starting a project, launching a new product, moving the business, etc. is too large to accept, it may be better to avoid it. In this case, risk avoidance means not performing that activity that causes the risk. Managing risk in this way is more like how people address personal risk. While some companies are more risk-loving and others are more risk-averse, ABC need to have a tipping point at which things become too risky and not worth attempting. Risk reduction. ABC Company can assign a level at which risk is acceptable, which is called the residual risk level. Risk reduction is the most common strategy because there is usually a way to at least reduce risk. It involves taking countermeasures to decrease the impact of consequences. For example, transferring the risk like buying insurance.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is NURULSALIHAH BINTI NORALKHAN. My message number is 065562. I will talk about two other types of risk mitigation other than risk avoidance, acceptance, and reduction. There is a risk transfer, that is transference-based risk comparison mitigation that can be an effective tactic where hazards are recognized and taken into consideration. ABC company shifting the burden of the risk and risk comparison to a different party. The transfer strategy functions. However, as this could have its own drawbacks, ABC company applied this risk reduction strategy in a way that is equitable to all parties. An illustration of the application of transfer strategy for risk minimization is shown below. There is a performance transfer if a production in ABC company develop a new product like a new drink, for instance, yet the final product has problems. It's possible that the flaws were brought on by problem with the material rather than the actual production problems. The manufacturer of the product has two options. It choose to bear the expense of the product faults and pursue restoration measure like product recalls, of it choose to shift the cost of the product defects the external vendor that supply the products material to ABC company. Next is there is an example is transfer in order to schedule. That is why there is always a change that project will take longer than expected to complete. ABC company will use transfer the technique to put the blame for falling behind schedule on the team member who are in charge of the time management rather than the company as a whole. Now that the consequences have been transferred to the member of the team in charge of scheduling, the production company, design team, and other teams of ABC company can concentrate on the completion the remaining tasks. Next is risk monitoring. That is a type of mitigation strategy. The monitoring activities for risk and effect in test, keeping an eye out for the spotting and adjustment of ABC company that could influence how the risk will manifest itself. This tactic is used by production team of ABC company as a part of a typical project review schedule. Risks that might arise during the completion of the project can be checked in terms of cost, timing, and performance or productivity. The example that follows shown how to assess the risk and potential outcome that affect a project completion of ABC company. That is monitoring costs. By developing a reporting process to detail its spending of ABC company, the functional heads of financial committee can assess and manage cost rate. ABC company teams can evaluate the budget and make changes continuously thanks to this tactic. Next is timetable for monitoring. Weekly updates to analyze the responsibility and completion dates of each member of the ABC company teams might be included with the management of the project timelines. ABC company will analyze the situation again and monitor any problem that can result in the project running late. Schedule and management tool are example of companies' computer software that might be used to track and assess. That's all for me. Next, my team member will present.
Risk mitigation best practices. First, choosing risk mitigation strategies. Decision makers are in charge of accepting and avoiding risk. A risk mitigation strategy, on the other hand, should be a mission choice because identifying and resolving risk is an organization-wide undertaking. Leaders must also acknowledge that risk will occur and plans to address them must be in place. Second, develop a contingency plan. If the initial effort fails to offer efficient mitigation, having a contingency plan on hand may be necessary. Include a trigger or timetable for putting the contingency plan into action. Having to evacuate operation and establish up in a new place is one example. Third, content of the mitigation plan. Choose a risk manager who has the resources, knowledge, and authority to carry out the risk mitigation strategy. The strategy should respond to what steps must be taken, when must this task be completed, who is in charge of taking action. mitigation? What materials are required? How will the action reduce the likelihood or severity of the risk? 4. Assess the current state of each action. Determine when each step must be implemented and completed. 5. Risk monitoring. It is an organization responsibility to track evolving threats and modify strategies and actions as needed. Furthermore, the organization risk exposure should be assessed on a regular basis.